first ticket number will give you the opportunity to watch the open training session today with our legends, Ray Parler and Jeremy Ali-Alier. An amazing prize.
Fantastic prize, isn't it?
Yeah, really good morning, Tom. I'm going to move out of the way. What I will say is you won't be seeing Martin Ødegaard behind you. You mentioned 6 weeks there. We know there's a knee injury. We're not entirely sure the extent of it. Mikel Arteta will do his pre-match press conference tomorrow. That's ahead of them playing Fulham on Saturday evening. Really frustrating and unfortunate season for him so far, isn't it? Of course, he became that first player to be subbed in 3 consecutive games in the first half when he came off against West Ham with the knee injury. So he's not out there. Noni Madueke is another who's struggling with a bit of a knee injury. I'm sure Arteta will update his fitness tomorrow after arriving at Arsenal, and he really hit the ground running. He's been a bit of a superstar, hadn't he, in those first few games. No Kai Havertz, another of those knee injury victims. No, he's not out there yet either. But there is some good news in terms of Hincapié. He's been struggling with a groin injury, but he was one of the first ones out to training with Christian Nørgaard. No Ben White, we're not exactly sure as to why, but everybody else who you'd expect to be out there is out there, and a lot of them arrive in really good spirits after a pretty successful few days away with their international teams. The likes of Saka and Eze, Rice, Lewis, Skelly, all out there, obviously secured England's qualification to the World Cup. The Brazilian pair of Gabriel and Martinelli both scored for Brazil. They are at their 23rd consecutive World Cup finals. And Mikel Merino, he goes away with Spain and ends up scoring a ton of goals, doesn't he? Another 2 for him. They're on the verge as well after beating Bulgaria. Zubamendi playing the large part of that game too. Saliba, Timber, Trossard, I mentioned before Nørgaard, all having been away with their nations, all out there. Most of them got back to the club at some point yesterday, and they are now, getting ready to play Fulham on the weekend.
Before the last international break, they had Manchester City. They got a draw at home. They had Newcastle away. They got a really good win there. So they did have a tough run of games, whereas the next few seem on paper to be a little bit kinder. They're top of the table. How good a position are they in right now?
Yeah, I think if you ask most Arsenal fans if they'd be happy to be a point clear going into that October international break, I think they would have probably snapped your hand off with a couple of those fixtures. As you mentioned, really, really tough. That Newcastle win felt really big, didn't it? That last-minute Gabriel header, having seen Merino equalise a little bit earlier in the game, and then built on that momentum with West Ham. You look at the fixtures and you think, before the next international break, they play Fulham, Palace, Burnley and Sunderland in the Premier League, with the likes of Madrid and Slavia Prague in there for Europe, and Brighton away in the Cup. But, they only managed to draw at Fulham last season, and those sort of games really cost them come the end of the season. Palace, we know the form they're in at the moment. And then, of course, it is away at Burnley and away at Sunderland. So, you look at it on paper and you think, there are points to be had here before that next international break. And it's just for Arsenal now about keeping up that momentum, isn't it? Going to Fulham, tapping into a lot of those players that have had successful few weeks, refinding that momentum. We mentioned at the top, didn't we, about Ødegaard and not being available. Arsenal have not had him available for so much over the last 2 seasons. But when you look at the strength in depth now available, particularly in that midfield position, you look at the likes of having sort of Eze available in that side, Zubamendi available, and the fact that Nwaneri hasn't even made some of those matchday squads, you feel that Arsenal have got that strength in depth despite some of those injuries to some of those key players. And we'll see, won't we? Fulham, not easy, as I say, a draw last season. They can sort of set the tone for these next few weeks with a good performance on Saturday, tea time. Remember, that one is live on Sky Sports.
Yeah, part of the big weekend. Gail, thank you.
brings so much to the team, and watching the games back, I'm very pleased with what he's giving to the team. I told him before the first meeting, I said, the 9 that I want is a 9 that when he doesn't score for 6 or 8 games, he can handle that. If not, you have to go somewhere else, because the pressure is gone, the expectation is going to be there. So if you put the number 9 shirt for Arsenal, you have to be able to say, okay, 6 games, don't score. Am I a different player? I start to act in a different way. I want much more of the same of what he's doing. And yeah, once we have those opportunities, put them. I'm sure it's going to happen. Going back in his history as well with Victor, it's a very different one. The beginning and when he wasn't even playing much, and then how he evolved his career. Then in the last year, very difficult to find a gap of that, because I think he scored in every single match almost. But just preparing something, the context is going to change. It's part of football. You see the history of the number 9s. You're going to have moments like that. Hopefully it's through playing, not that you don't even have the option to play and you are injured. So his robustness is something really good. I'm really happy with him, full confidence. And when you look at him every single day, how much he wants it, that's exactly what you expect.